whether Clark has hit her more. Off balance, Agumbawale.
Maybe in the quarter court, Boston's hit her a few more times.
The Indiana Fever hit the main court for practice today, gearing up for Tuesday's home matchup against the Dallas Wings. Right now, they're in the middle of a favorable stretch for consecutive games against the WNBA's bottom 4 teams. A golden opportunity they absolutely need to capitalize on, especially with their roster still not at full strength. The team's depth just got a small boost. Over the weekend, the Fever signed veteran guard Odyssey Sims to a 7-day hardship contract, bringing their active roster up from 9 players to 10. This move was necessary after Ari McDonald and Sydney Colson both suffered season-ending injuries. While those two were present at practice today, moving around on scooters and crutches, their return to the court won't happen this season. Still, having them in the gym keeps team morale high. Sims with a decade of WNBA experience won't be expected to carry too much of the load right away. But her presence at point guard is vital. Over the weekend, Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham admirably filled that role, helping the Fever secure yet another dominant win over the Chicago Sky, improving to a perfect 4-0 against them this year. The end of practice brought some special moments off the court. Fever GM Lynn Dunn received the Inspiring Women Award, which will now be named in her honor moving forward. Clark and the rest of the team celebrated the occasion with plenty of smiles and hugs to go around. Another heartwarming highlight. For Special Olympics, Indiana athletes signed honorary one-day contracts with the Fever, took center court at Game Fieldhouse and enjoyed a full team photo session, a memory they'll carry for a lifetime. For now, the Fever are using this week to recharge, with a couple of scheduled rest days before a big 2-game homestand with only 12 games left in the regular season. Every matchup matters. The push for the playoffs is on, and this stretch against lower-ranked teams could be the turning point. Up next, you'll hear from head coach Stephanie White, star center Aaliyah Boston, and the newest member of the Fever, Odyssey Sims. As for Caitlin Clark, she was at practice, but still not fully participating. She's dealing with multiple injuries and is expected to be sidelined for at least a couple more weeks. The focus is on letting her recover completely, being selfish with her health in the best way possible to ensure she's fully ready when she returns. Or rather, the uncertainty around it. Multiple outlets had her expected back today, with the official listing for tomorrow's game against the Dallas Wings showing her as a game-time decision. Even now, the WNBA injury report says Caitlin Clark, groin injury, not practicing yet, though. She has been doing full-court running and endurance work. That's encouraging, but still not confirmation she's ready to play. ESPN has had her pencil in for a return in this game for quite a while, which only fueled the speculation. The buzz really took off yesterday afternoon. Fans, media, and even betting circles were convinced Tuesday would be the big comeback. But here's where the frustration comes in. If the Fever and coach Stephanie White knew Clark wasn't practicing and wasn't going to suit up, why not just say so? This isn't just about basketball. There are real implications here. Sports betting lines, nationally televised coverage on ESPN, ticket sales, and even gate pricing can all be influenced by the idea of a superstar's return. And right now, it feels like a lot of people, especially fans, have been left thinking one thing while the reality was likely different. Bottom line, Caitlin Clark's comeback is still TBD. We'll keep watching to see if she surprises everyone against Dallas, but as of now, don't be shocked if the wait lasts a little longer. What excites you about what she can bring to you guys, especially now that you need a point guard so badly right now? I think her efficiency in the game. She's been really good in the Toolman her whole career. Her ability to get downhill and to make plays for herself and others. To knock down shots. Her speed and quickness with the ball in her hands. All things that we need, and she'll be a great addition. You feel better at implementing players mid-season with how many times you guys have had to work through it. Yeah, it is what it is at this point. And particularly when you're talking about a point guard, really making sure that we focus in on the high-level usage things that we'll use when she's on the floor. And getting her up to speed on not just what we do offensively, but what we do defensively. So yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Our group is really good about how we help one another out, and how they help one another out on the floor. So she's ready to go. Breaking the schedule this week allows for what for this team now? Number 1, rest. I think just coming off of what we came off of on the West Coast and number 2. An opportunity now with added player to really go through all of our stuff to make sure that we can really implement all of our things and address some slippage in practice. It was nice to be able to get on the floor to actually practice today and address some of those areas on the defensive end as well. So rest, recovery, and fine-tune some things. The added benefit of having a player like Odyssey, it's a known quantity. You've all seen her play. You kind of know what she brings to the table. Maybe easier to get her into what you're doing here. I think so. In particular, for what we need her for. Again, it adds another downhill driver. Another player that can play in the woman, when you had Sid and you had Ari on the floor. It took a little bit of pressure off of Kelsey to have to be the only one. And now, Odyssey will do that same thing. You talked about Caitlin starting running last week. Has she been able to do anything extra since then, or return to practice at all? No, return to practice. She's been able to get a little bit more in her full court running. With all of her body weight. It's really building up from doing minimal to then building some endurance, to do longer periods of time. She's been able to do a little bit more on the court in terms of how she moves, but not in the practice yet. No. After all the changes and just injuries and different players, you guys have kept this together. A lot of teams might have just faltered, but what does it say about not just you yourself and your coaches, but the people, the players here that are playing for you, and just what they've been able to do? Just a high-quality character group. They're resilient. They pull for one another. They don't get too high. They don't get too low. And they believe, and that's the most important thing. They've been through a lot. They've been incredibly resilient in terms of not just on the court production, but their attitudes, their energy. They bring it every day. And okay, yes, we feel awful for the ones who aren't able to play. But we feel really good about those who now get opportunity that might not have had opportunity had those guys been on the floor. What was it like to see Lynn celebrated, with everybody in midcourt? That was great. Obviously Lynn is a pillar and a legend in our sport and in our game, and to be able to honor her in this way and Amber said it, we really do stand on the shoulders of people like Lynn Dunn. And she is, and always has been an inspiring woman. A woman in our league, inspiring woman in our game, and the history of women's sport. And so for us to be able to honor her is pretty incredible. Now, somebody mentioned to me that apparently the media hasn't been let in. I mean, who knows what's true anymore? You've got a segment of Fever fandom that, I'll be real with you folks, is just as nasty and toxic as any other fan base in the WNBA. I don't know if it's the old school Fever loyalists, who now resent all the new fans, or if it's just the usual internet warriors. But boy did they crawl out of the woodwork yesterday. Do I care? No, not even a little. I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan. Always have been. Honestly, there are maybe 9 players in the entire league that I genuinely enjoy watching, and Caitlin's one of
double, but because of the three-point shooting around her, you got to play her single coverage, and she can make a post move on everyone in this league.
Oh, and Howard is...
If she's playing, or if the Fever's involved in a matchup I'm interested in, I'm locked in. That's it. I'm not going to apologize for that. And you better believe I'm going to call out this team or this coach when something feels off. I don't care whose feathers get ruffled. None of you have any idea how little I'm bothered by that. Anyway, we've got the Wings coming up tomorrow. Mystics on Friday. I even saw someone swear it was the Lynx on the 22nd. So clearly schedules are confusing a few folks. But we worked it out yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 9 games until the playoffs. Personally, I would have liked 10 or 11 games before postseason play, but 9 will have to do. The real issue, that's 9 games we've got to sit through without Caitlin Clark on the floor. And that's the part that really stings. Here's the thing. I watch sports for entertainment. At the end of the day, this is a TV product. It's a show. And Caitlin Clark being on the court makes it infinitely more entertaining. During games, the chat is full of people saying the same thing. Without the league's most electric star on the court, these games are tough to watch. Painfully tough at times. Let's see what Aaliyah Boston Odyssey Sims said. Bill nature of this team to just figure this out in so many different variables this season. What did you see on Saturday night that kind of just did it again? Yeah, I think our whole play the game wasn't perfect obviously. But I think our ability to make adjustments on the fly. Think about stuff right before the game and be able to play in that way and then have people play different positions, like point guard. So, I think that was just pretty big for us. I mean, and I feel like our whole season it's been about being resilient and figuring out how to be consistent, through all of that, and then so for us. I thought that Saturday was a good example for that. You had experience with this with ARY already this season, but when a new point guard comes in, how do you guys help them reacclimate and how does that change what you need to do in a game? I'm going to start there. I don't think it really changes too much. Probably just continue to up my communication. But I think O is a smart player. And she knows how to score the ball. She knows how to pass the ball, and so it's really just not much that you really have to explain, and so I'm super excited that she's here, and we're all pretty hyped about it. Been on the road a lot. We know you're back this week, but how good it is to be able to try to get some wins here in your front of your home crowd and just kind of focus in on that before you get ready for the playoffs. Yeah, it's great. I think being home is always a great opportunity. I think we have the best UP fans in the W, and so for us being able to just get these games before we have to go back out on the road again, is going to be super important for us, and so we just have to take it and embrace it one game at a time. Yeah, is there playoffs, will have